Alright, so now let's continue and go ahead and create our language user model. So in here, let's close all. And down here in the terminal, we can simply type PHP artisan make model. We can say language user with a capital U, L and U, and here type MFS. Right, now after creating that, now let's go to our language users table, this one. Now in here, since this is going to be a pivot table, so here let's change this from plural to singular. Here let's say language user. Don't forget down here in the reverse, that language user. Now after doing that, here I'm going to create a foreign ID. We're going to call this one user ID. It's going to be constrained on the users table. Next one, cascade on delete. Now what this means is that get this foreign ID for this table and assign it to the ID on the users table. That's what this constraint means. Here you can do another constraint. You can call this one language ID to the languages table. Now after that, let's go and open our language user model. And here let's add a protected guarded as an empty array. This is going to allow us to make these fields fillable, all of them. Next, let's go to our language model so we can add this relationship to the language model. In here, down here, let's type PUBF and click enter. That's if you have this, autocomplete. Let's type users. A language is gonna belong to many users. Belongs to many user class, and the pivot table is going to be language user. I'm going to do the same in the user table. Let's open the user model. Down here after basics, we're going to create another function. Let's call this one languages belongs to many return type. You can add this if you want, but now let's add return this belongs to many language class language user as the pivot table. Now after that, before we had used this method to assign the basics as the user has been created. Now we can do this. Now since this is a course, let's find out another way of how to add these without doing them, using this created event fired when the model is created. So for us, we're going to do it in our user factory. So let's open the user factory. Now in here, in the user factory, we cannot really use this because at this point, the user model is not created yet. These are just values to assign. So for us, lucky for us, we have a function we can use, which is configure. This is going to be run after this information has successfully been created as a model or as a field, or as a record in the database. So after that is created, down here, I'm going to configure the model. So now we're going to create a function. We can call this one configure. I meant a public, but all functions are public by default, so no need, but let's just create public. The return type here is going to be static. This should be run as the class is created. In here, we're going to return this after creating. Inside there, we're going to have a function, the open bracket. In here, we're going to pass the user model. In here now, after this model is created, now let's do something with this model. Now I'm going to call the languages. Let's create a variable. Let's call language model. Let's do a limit of a random, between 1 and 4. Because we don't want to create, want to make it dynamic as possible. So we're going to get at least 2 or 3 and then assign those languages to a user. Then here, just make it more dynamic. Here, let's say in random order. So we can shuffle a little bit. Okay, say get. And after getting these languages, now we can say for each. In here, I'm going to say user languages attach since it's a pivot table, it allows us to do attach. We're going to attach this value. For convenience, you can just say languages as language. Now at this point, no need to edit the database either, since this is run in the user factory. So now we can just go to our terminal. Here, let's run php artisan. Let's refresh our database. We are going to migrate fresh seed. Alright, awesome. Now our database has been refreshed. Now if we go here, let's refresh this. So now we have the new language user table, and it has been filled here with the language, the user ID, and the language, the user ID, and the random language ID here on the left. So that's it for this video. We're gonna show this information later in our browser, but for now, we're just creating it in different ways so you can learn how to, create pivot tables in different ways. So I'll see you in the next video.